Alex Troegel, what's up, bro?
Mr. DJ, I'm living the dream.
Yeah,
Best I know how.
You've been out there, man. Everyone knows what you're doing now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Can't hide from it no more.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all that, let's take it all the way back from the beginning. So, first off, we've known each other a couple of years. Met through some business stuff.
Yep.
I haven't seen you much lately because you've done moved off and you've been running around singing music and
that's right.
Doing other grown men stuff.
I spread my wings.
Yeah. So, how did you first get into all this? Because and let me just preface this too. You have another band. You do your solo act, but you also have a band, Ole Whiskey Revival.
Correct.
And you guys have been around for a while. But how did you get into music?
Well, I like to say I'm just part of the band. Some of the guys have begun to argue that I am the front man or I'm the leader or whatever, but that literally just came to be because I was playing solo, and we'll get into that. We'll touch on it. But to answer your question, music has been around as long as I can remember. My earliest memory is me. We had this big house in Mansfield. It's still there. It's on Oxford Road in Mansfield, and it was built by a man named Don Glover, I believe, is who owned it originally. My parents bought it shortly right after I was born, or right before I was born, and it had this big open den, and you stepped up into a bar area. So it had a full bar. I mean, the mirrors, the mini fridge, a half bath, pool table, the works, which had sliding glass doors that went out into this big swimming pool area. And Dad had this just kick-ass sound system, turntable and tape deck and big speakers. And ever since I can remember, if he wasn't working, if he was at home, if his band wasn't there rehearsing, we had music going, So there's some VHS tapes running around somewhere of me about this tall, in a diaper singing along to Charlie Daniels when I was, 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
So it got into me real early. My dad, Bill, played in a very popular band that he got into when he was in high school with the Smith brothers, Mikey and Kenny Smith. They're from Shreveport. Grew up in DeSoto Parish. But they had a band, the Dolly Hills Band. Okay. And so they were wildly popular, played throughout the 80s.
What was their genre?
Country, Southern rock.
Country, okay.
So you think honky tonk, Marshall Tucker, Charlie Daniels,
gotcha.
that kind of vein. Dolly Hills kicked along there for a while. I think they went on a little bit of a hiatus. And Dad started playing in a 3-piece group with him and Kenny Smith and one other fella, and then that kind of morphed into Dolly Hills getting back together under the name Stampede. So throughout the late 80s, and I think Dad finally walked away from it, I want to say sometime around 90 or 91, between 90 and 92. So I was little. Remember, I cried the day he told me that he wasn't going to be playing music anymore. But they played, the Revel and Mudbug and back in the Gap before it was Flamingo, this bar here at the Ramada? I don't even know what it is anymore.
Yeah,
out by Ty. It used to be Ropers, I think.
Yeah.
So they'd play Ropers and they'd play all these other different bars and stuff and travel around. So some of my earliest memories are of them because we had the big house, right? So and Dad had the PA system. So they'd keep everything set up there at the house and they'd come rehearse at the house, and they were always playing. They were always rehearsing, and they tell the story of me, being little bitty, getting in there, crawling under Dad's floor tom, going to sleep while they're playing. Yeah, I'd wake up. They'd quit. They'd go on a break or something. The music would stop, and I'd wake up, and fussing, whatever. So, but yeah, man, always been around it. Always been kind of enamored with it. I like how music it translates so easy. I mean, you could sit and learn 100 different languages and not be able to talk to anybody, but you play them the right song and they understand exactly what you're trying to say. Yeah. That to me, that's what music is. So I try to just do what feels good and what I think sounds good. And fortunately for me here lately, some other people tend to agree with that, and they keep coming to see us, and we kind of play the same old stuff we've been playing since we got together in 2014, but it's still working, and as long as it keeps working and we keep having fun with it, we'll keep doing it.
Do you write music too?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I write. So I wrote and or co-wrote all of the music that's on Ole Whiskey Revival's record, album,
Gotcha.
CD, music, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We put a project out in 2016, I think. Recorded it here in Shreveport at Sandbox Studios with the very awesome and talented Darren Osborne, whose father Joe played as part of the Wrecking Crew.
Got you.
Played on a bunch of big hits. Played bass on a bunch of big hits out in L.A. And then in the 80s he moved to Nashville. And I want to say it's over 100 number one hits that he played on. Hank Williams Jr. It's just this crazy list, So Darren operates a studio here. It's in an old house over in Highland around Centenary, and it's very unsuspecting from the street, but you open the door and you realize immediately, there's something different about this house. There's no windows on the front of it, and the door is real heavy, and then there's another door, and you walk in, you're in the studio.
Yeah.
So cool space. I think they did some projects when the movies were real hitting real hard here, like I think Jack Black did some voiceover work for Kung Fu Panda in there, and Samuel L. Jackson went in there and recorded some stuff for Soul Men. So Darren's recorded a lot of big time stuff, right there in that little house. So we did that in 2016, and it was received well here. Right after it released, I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't really know how to start.
No, you're good, man.
Right after it released, we get this message one day randomly on Facebook from this guy named Shamblin Sexton from Brighton, United Kingdom. It's like, I love your stuff. Can you send me a vinyl copy? How much would it cost? And we're like, vinyl? We barely got this done, like we don't have vinyl. So we threw messaging back and forth. It's like, man, I want to play y'all stuff on my internet radio show, Whiskey Preaching. Okay, cool. So this guy, he takes his DJ equipment into like a pub in Brighton, and these English people show up like on a Saturday night in cowboy hats and nut huggers and big belt buckles, and instead of listening to EDM or hip hop, they're listening to like outlaw country, classic country, honky tonk music, and it's like a big thing over there. So he's like, man, y'all stuff's really getting popular over here. Can we work out a deal I want to put a compilation album together. I want to put one of y'all songs on it. Okay, cool. So we signed some paperwork, and he sent this over to this German record company, and they pressed this vinyl, this compilation album of all these awesome singers and bands you've never heard of that are wildly popular on his internet radio show.
Oh, okay.
So that did good. Then he called back, and he's like, well, man, I want to do y'all's whole record on vinyl, but it's not long enough for that format. Can you record one more song? So we had one kind of queued up. We went back in the studio, recorded it, sent him all the masters, everything, and they pressed it on vinyl. So we have a vinyl record that was pressed in Germany that's been distributed all throughout Europe. And we probably sold more copies over there than he sent us a stack of them like this big when they got done, and we still got it. We're still selling them today, and that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty cool to say the least. But Ole Whiskey Revival came about. I was playing solo acoustic. My parents and my wife and I, she was pregnant with our first child, and this has been 15 years ago. We used to eat at the Real Pickle all the time.
I remember that place, yeah.
Dude's awesome.
Yeah.
Uncle Joe Mansour, his nephew is a really close friend of mine. We went to LSU together. Big Greg, if you see me, Big Greg, and Jonathan Howell. I don't know if you know Jonathan Howell. He works for Matthews Landscape here locally. But eat at the Real Pickle all the time. We're out there eating one night. They got a guy on the patio, acoustic, get down. And I'm like, man, I can do that. And Mr. Joe's son, Joey's like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah. He goes, sing me something right now. I'm like, right now? He goes, yeah, sing me something. So we're standing in the restaurant, and I just start belting Pride and Joy's like, all right, can you be here next Saturday? I'm like, sure. I didn't have a PA system. I had never played live anywhere. So I called Bud Christian, local guy here, huge in the scene. He's toured with a bunch of big-time musicians. I called Mr. Bud, and I said, hey, man, I need a PA system. Can I borrow one or rent? He's like, man, I rent that stuff. Just come see me at my storage unit. So I go meet him at this storage unit in Bossier, and he gets me this little tiny stage pass Yamaha, just 2 little speakers with a little board that's built into the speaker. He's like, here's your mic stand, speaker stands, cable. Just plug in here, turn it on. That's how you do it. So I give him a couple $100, whatever it is, to rent it for the weekend. He's like, I tell you what, if you like it, I think it's like $500. I'll sell you the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Well, I made about $900 that night because, your biggest fan is your mama, and she was there, and she was so proud. And they had all their friends, and through tips and the little $150 in bar tab that I got paid, I just took cash back to Mr. Bud. Like, here, I'll keep it. And then that kind of got the ball rolling. I started playing there on a regular basis, and then next thing you know, I'm playing. I met Bo Atkins. We started gigging around together.
Yeah.
He was really good friends with the owner of Strange Brew at the time. We started organizing like writers rounds and playing with people like Cole Allen out of East Texas and Chris Canterbury, who's in Nashville now, and their careers just went, and mine and Bo's are just like, do.
Bo's awesome too, man.
Bo's awesome.
He's been on here. It's been a while since he's been on. I have to have him back on, but he's awesome, man.
And I tell everybody, I was like, man, you got to meet Bo. If you've never met Bo Atkins,
he's never met a stranger. You
got to go meet Bo Atkins.
Yeah.
Dude can sing and play his heart out, and he's doing it. He's not a big time mainstream Nashville name, and he'll probably be the first to tell you like he likes it that way.
Yeah.
He's very anti-establishment and super proud of him that he's making his living, doing what he loves. So Bo and I playing around, and we're playing at Strange Brew one night, and this old gal comes up to me. She's like, "Hey, you're great. I booked for the Horseshoe. You want to come play at the Horseshoe?" And I'm like, "Shit, I'll play at the Horseshoe." So then I start playing at the Horseshoe, and then I start playing mud rides, and then it got to the point I was like, "Man, I'm doing the same. I'm kind of bored just doing the same thing over and over, playing by myself. Like, I'd really rather just be part of a band." And Trent Doherty, so John Garcia worked at the Real Pickle there for a little bit, and his sister Jamie, and so we got to be good friends and started kind of jamming together there. And then I eventually went to work for Eagle Distributing, and John was working there as well. We started gigging more, me and him. And he's like, "Man, I'm in this band, Magnolia May, with my wife, and but we're kind of thinking about starting a side project, like a little kind of country band." I was like, "Dude, I'd love to be a part of that." So he brings Trent out to the Pickle one night to hear me playing, and Trent's like, "Dude, I like your style. I'm throwing this crawfish boil birthday party for my dad. Would love for you and John to come jam." So me and John, we go jam with Trent, and that was the first real Ole Whiskey Revival show.
Gotcha.
That was probably April of 2014.
Okay.
And after that, the bass player for Magnolia May, Stevie Hensley, and John Garcia, obviously, and Trent and myself, we got together, just started kind of practicing at John's house, and one thing led to another. We started booking gigs, and then started writing some music, and then John decided, he's like, "Man, I don't want to play drums anymore. I want to come out front, sing, and play guitar. That's what I like doing." So we auditioned a couple guys, and we met Ryan Alexander through a mutual friend, and Ryan was just a natural fit, and as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
John took a hiatus for a little while. He was in like every band you could imagine. He played in a metal band, Brother Wolf, and then he played with Magnolia May and the Grass Widows, and he's in all these different projects. So he kind of stepped back for a little bit, but then came back in, and now here we are. Stevie moved to Montana. We got Josh Bertrand to come play bass, and we're just doing our thing, man. We'll play wherever anybody wants us to play. If it's a little more difficult now, like you said, I've moved away in 2018, Been living in South Louisiana ever since. 3 kids and a wife, and the music doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I gotta take care of that stuff first. But every chance I get, I come up here, and we're playing this weekend. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be
last weekend.
But we're playing next weekend.
Yeah.
So this is Kegs and Corks weekend.
Yeah.
Here in East Bank. So we'll be over at Flying Heart Saturday night. Brand new restaurant in the boardwalk. I don't know if it's Tres Amigos or
I think it's
Three Amigos, or Roman numeral 3 and Amigos. We're playing there, so super excited about that. But then we'll be back here at Hurricane Alley Memorial Day weekend.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's the one. I'm glad this is going to come out before then, because that's the one folks are going to really want to come out for. Because I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve for that show.
Okay.
So we talked about it briefly before we got on here, but I went on The Voice.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up next. Yeah, so how did that even happen? Like, so how did they find? How does this whole thing work? Because I've had a few people on, and actually I had I don't even know if you remember Doug Kiker, but he was on American Idol. He was a trash man dude.
Yeah,
do you remember that dude?
I can.
He was
recall.
on the show like 2 years ago, or whatever.
Okay.
And so we briefly talked about that, but that was Zoom. We weren't in person, so we didn't get to go in depth. But like, how's that even happen?
Well, I'll tell you, I auditioned for American Idol years ago.
Okay.
Stacy's my wife, we drove to Nashville overnight. And the way you auditioned back then, and of course, kind of like, 9/11, COVID, you got pre-COVID, you got post-COVID, because things changed. But pre-COVID, you had to actually drive to a city, do a casting call.
Wait in line for 2 days.
You get it. So they had the auditions at Bridgestone Arena, which for those that have never been to Bridgestone Arena, it's like CenturyLink Center times like 4. Now, there's 2 upper decks. Mm-hmm. It holds like 10,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever. So you have to get a ticket to get in. So we get our ticket at like 1 a.m. on a Friday morning as soon as we got to town. And they're like, all right, be here at 4 a.m. Saturday morning. And you go show up at 4 a.m. and everybody's just crammed in the street there at Broadway where the Bridgestone Arena is. And they're filming crowd shots, and there's a director, and he's like, everybody scream now, Whole lot of production.
Right.
You go in like cattle, and you sit in. Of course, we were one of the last ones to get tickets. We're in the upper deck. And they started the auditions at like 8 a.m. And the whole floor is lined with tables with like just a little privacy screen between the tables. And there's 2 to 4 producers at every table. So you walk down there in 4 columns. And they go, all right, next, go to this table here. You go to, it's like checking out at Academy.
Yeah.
This one's open. This one's open down here. Come on.
Yeah.
And so you stand there with 3 people, and these producers go, hey, how y'all doing? Good to see you. All right, go. And you get to sing, and they're like, that's enough. Step back, go.
Oh,
okay,
this is without any equipment or anything, just acapella.
Acapella, go.
Okay.
15, 20 seconds. And they go, thank y'all so much for coming. Not quite what we're looking for this year. Please find the exit this way. So that was after 13 hours in the Bridgestone Arena.
That's what happened.
And I was like, this is horse shit. I'm never doing this again, ever. So in the meantime, The Voice gets wildly popular, right?
Yeah.
And then I start playing around town, start playing with the band. We start opening for all these big names, and folks are like, man, y'all are really good. You should go on The Voice. Pass. And you ever thought about going on American Idol? Tried it, pass, not doing it. Years. You should go on The Voice. Hey, I think you should go on The Voice. You should go on The Voice. Hey, you ever thought about going on The Voice? So The Voice was similar. I've known folks that have gone on it. In fact, I've known Cole Vosbury.
Yeah, Cole, yeah.
So Cole Vosbury did it. There's another kid from South Louisiana, Guy Rigdon, who was on there just a few seasons ago. I say a few seasons ago. Shit, it's been before COVID. And those guys made it into like the top 2, top 3. Mm-hmm. Dennis Bell, he's a local musician from Mansfield. He went on there. And back then, you had to do a similar American Idol. You had to go to like these open casting calls. And then if you got an executive call back, then you would fly yourself to Los Angeles and do that. Well, now everything's virtual. So it makes it convenient, easy, more accessible for more people. So I signed up a couple years ago, created an artist profile, And every time they do an open casting call, I'd submit one. And anybody can do it. I encourage anybody that sings or enjoys music, at least try it, because it doesn't cost you anything. It's easy to do. All you need is your cell phone. And you schedule a time slot, and when your time slot's up, your portal opens. You get 90 seconds to introduce yourself, sing, and then you can re-record it a couple times. You've only got a certain window, so you can't just sit and re-record.
Gotcha.
So first 2 or 3 times, if you mess your name up or you mess up something, you get a couple chances in your window. When your window closes, it's open. So submitted a few of them, and it's real quick because they've got a casting agency watching them as they come in. Did one last summer and forgot I had scheduled it. I'm sitting in my office working, it pops up. I'm like, shit. Grab a cowboy hat, set my phone up, grab my guitar. I have nothing prepared. I've prepared for everyone I've ever done. Have nothing prepared. I just start singing. Thank you. Put my phone down, throw my guitar back up, take cowboy hat off, go back to work. Hour later, get an email. Hey, we got your blind audition or your casting submission. We'd like to give you a call back. Oh, shit, look at this. I showed Stacy. She's like, oh, that's awesome. So fast forward a few weeks, and I'm in freaking Los Angeles, auditioning for The Voice.
Yeah.
So that's how that all came. It started just to shut people up. Like,
yeah, you just finally said, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. So I tried for a couple of years and finally got through and messed around and went all the way to Los Angeles and got the blind audition. And I can't say enough good things about that whole production because American Idol is very much about entertainment. So they'll take the bad with the good and make examples out of them.
Right, yeah.
Hey, look at this idiot.
Yeah.
The Voice is 180 degrees in the other direction. And they tell you over and over from the time you start the process until the moment you're walking out on stage. Just remember, our whole goal is to make you look, sound, and feel better than you've ever looked or sounded or felt. And it's like having hype men around you. You're filming behind the scenes stuff, and you're filming B-roll with them, and the cameraman. Like, I remember we were filming, doing some backstage stuff, and the camera. I was like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just stand there for a second." And so they get the lighting right, and they're like, "Oh shit, man, he looks cool, doesn't he? Man, he looks cool." And I'm like, I look cool. That's right. So they're talking to each other. They're not talking to me. And he's like, hey, man, just walk over to that corner and turn around and walk back. So they're like, I just turn around and start walking. They're like, oh, shit. They're like, did you see that? Damn, are you getting this? You getting this? And so it's like hyping you up. And you're like, damn, maybe I'm a good-looking son of a gun. And I just didn't even realize it, Maybe Mama was right. So they do a really good job of that. And you sit down to do the interviews and all that stuff, and it's like, I don't know, what do you want me to talk about? What are we doing? Nobody cares what I have to say. I'm not important. I'm not special. And they're like, no, just be yourself. And if you say something that's, makes you seem silly or like you're not a very smart person, don't worry about it. We'll edit it out. We're going to make this. Their whole thing is to make you, to build a story around you,
right? And
to capture, what is this guy's backstory? Why is he here? Why does he deserve to be the next big thing? Or why does she, what is compelling? What are people going to gravitate towards? So they do a really good job of making you look like just a regular old person that is just chasing a dream, because that's what you are at the end of the day. So it was an unbelievably amazing experience. I made some lifelong friends while I was out there, and I'd do it again every year if I could, because it was just fun. The whole thing was fun. Can you do
it? Like, I know in the other productions, like, can you do it again? Can you go back on? How does that work?
You can. So I have seen in the past, there were even some folks on this season. Some of it was because of COVID. Yeah. Some of it was, I think there were 2 ladies there that were actually, so I was season 23. The season that's on now is season 23. There were some ladies that were there from season 22 that actually made it to the blinds and didn't get a chair turn, so they got invited back or got the chance to. I'm not quite sure how all that works. Okay. They even tell you, like, when you get home, they're like, hey, sorry you didn't get a chair turn. Would you ever be interested in doing it again? we welcome you to try again.
Gotcha,
We can put you back into the selection process again if you'd like. So I think once you get a chair turn, though, once you make it onto the show, it's kind of like a one and done deal. There was a guy named Gedge out there this time who was with a group, Sheer Element. He actually made it into the live shows as an individual on Kelly's team in season 21. So the last season, Kelly was on it before this season. He was on Kelly's team, made it to the lives, and like she turned her chair, and turns around, she's like, "What are you doing?" But he's with a group, So I think there's some little loopholes and stuff like that. So if I wanted to go start a quartet, I don't know what you're doing next summer. Maybe we can start us a quartet and go out there and try again.
You don't want me on there. I could play about 3 chords.
It's perfect. If you can play 3 rhythms, if you can play 3 chords, you can sing 3 chords, man. You can do it. I have faith in you.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about this, and I guess I kind of picked this up from some of the business networking side of it.
Yeah.
I kind of went into it with that mindset of, man, I don't really want to win this show. Or maybe I do. I don't know. The whole thing scared the shit out of me to begin with.
I can imagine.
Because it's like, it's easy to sit back and dream and think about the what ifs.
Yeah.
And, man, I want to do this, or I'd like to do that. But the average person, when you get your toe on the line and it's time to go start running after it, it's like, well, I don't know. I got this coming up, and my kids are in school, and I got a really good job, and man, do I really want to move? So then you start having all those doubts of, is this something I really want to do? So I approached it from a networking sense of, I'm going to do the best I can. We'll see what happens. But most importantly, I'm going to meet as many people as I can that are in the industry. And out of that, I made some pretty good friends that made it a pretty good way in the show. One of which, Kylie Dane, made it on to Team Blake. She was just eliminated in the playoffs last week, but she's going to be here with us for our Memorial Day show.
Nice. Okay.
So she lives over in the Dallas area.
Okay.
There's another girl that's over in the Dallas area that's a really talented singer that I made some connections with through some channels, and so Caitlin Jewett's coming over, and Kylie Dane is coming over, and the 3 of us are going to sit and do kind of like a song swap acoustic thing for an hour and a half, and then Ole Whiskey's going to play. And they may or may not get up and sing with Ole Whiskey a little bit. We'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
But yes,
awesome.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be a chance for folks in this area.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not only, it's great you've crossed, that's what you were talking about. Like, it's great you crossed those networks and you went into it that mentality, because most people aren't, because they haven't had that experience, right? So they'll just go in and just be closed off and just only be worrying about their performance. Yeah. But you can get in there and meet people, man. Like, it opens up opportunities for everyone. I mean, for them, now they're coming over here, you're giving them a platform to perform here locally and be in front of people that's never heard them probably or seen them unless they watch them there.
Sure.
You know, and then vice versa. Their network will now see you.
That's right.
And so, that stuff's great.
That's right. Yeah, and in the day and age of social media and followers and, if you go into something like this with the mindset of, this is a competition, I'm not talking to my competition.
Yeah.
Man, we're not, we're not barbecuing. We're not throwing darts. This ain't a baseball game. We're not going to play 7-on-7. Like, it's music. It's very objective. That's why they make chocolate and vanilla. What I listen to on the way up here may or may not be what you listen to on your way home today.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make mine right or yours right or wrong. It's just different strokes, different folks, right? So if you go into that with mindset of, man, we're all talented people. We're all here for a reason. What can I learn from these other folks? How can I become friends with these people? What can they teach me? What can I teach them? How can we help each other to grow and become better artists and better musicians? Dude, I've been writing music with some of these folks. We kick song ideas back and forth because you get a gag order on your social media. from the time you're out there until it airs. So you can't post online singing or nothing. Well, for a narcissistic, attention-seeking musician, if you can't go get your validation on social media, how are you going to do it? So then you start messaging back and forth with all these other people that have this shared experience with you.
Yeah.
So for weeks, we're back and forth in Snapchat and text messaging and, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, listen to me sing this song. And it's weird because it's almost like being in a traumatic experience with other folks. It's like you can't talk about it. It's this amazing thing that's happening. All you want to do is tell everybody, and you can't tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
Even when you know it's coming, and even when they give you the green light of, okay, you can tell folks you auditioned, but you can't tell them, we're not even going to tell you when you're coming on.
Yeah.
We're not even telling you when we're not even going to tell you if your episode's going to air.
Yeah, because that was something whenever you released you were going to be on. No one knew when. So.
Oh yeah. Dude, I'm getting blown up.
Yeah.
And family members, I'm just getting crucified. Really? Like I watched it. The group chat. I'm in so many group chats. It's gross. But one of my favorite group chats is all my best guy friends.
Yeah.
It includes the band guys and some other dudes. And it's like, I sat here and watched this shit, and you're not even on it. Like, what is this? You better be on it tonight. And I'm like, man, I don't know. Just keep watching. And I told everybody, I was like, don't watch it for me. Watch it because I could be there, but really pay attention to what you're seeing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the folks that I met out there are thousands of incredible singers and musicians you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. And the saddest part is there's thousands more that you'll never hear of.
Yeah.
You'll never even know they existed.
Yeah.
One of the first days I walked in, you're walking through the hotel and you can hear everybody like practicing in their rooms. You're sequestered on a whole floor of a hotel. And you're walking through and you're hearing these people sing in their rooms, and it's like, man, there's been a mistake.
What am I doing here?
I think I got my shit mixed up with somebody else's because I can't do what's happening on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like Celine Dion in there.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like Chris Stapleton in that room. The hell am I going to do? They're going to laugh at me. But my wife, she brought me back down there. She's like, there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you're here. There's a reason they picked you. You need to just lean into it, be yourself, and let it ride kind of deal. So it was cool, man. I'd love to have the opportunity to do it again, but they say lightning doesn't strike twice.
Yeah.
You can't ever tell what's going to happen, but
well, not only even like there's so many people that I've watched these shows and I remember them, and they're still doing great things.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to win to become a star. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Morgan Wallen's a great example of that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had been on The Voice.
Yeah.
I quit watching it there we watched it religiously in the beginning, and then just life happens, and it's like I can sit down and watch TV on a Monday, Tuesday night. Like
I don't watch any of them, but I'll watch the reels and the clips, and I'll be like, holy shit, that person is amazing.
Yeah.
Like this, and it wasn't a voice. I think it was American Idol side. This Samoan dude.
I've seen him.
Holy shit,
yeah,
man.
That dude can sing.
That dude gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like just watch and imagine what it sounds like live. You're just looking at the phone. Like,
he's very reminiscent of what was that guy?
Reminds me of like a Jack Johnson and a
Well, there was the guy that did. I want to say his name was Israel. I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name. It's a Hawaiian. It's a
yeah.
Big guy. He passed away. You've heard him sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
Yeah.
The Hawaiian.
Yeah, he has that vibe. Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, he has that vibe.
This dude is like the reincarnation of him.
But yeah, he's played a few things. I was just like, man, holy shit. But yeah, there's something. I grew up. My grandmother played and sang for years, and half of my family played little picking and grinning. There's always around and. They I guess I appreciate when I hear certain tones or how people synchronize. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that that's in me until these things are presented to me, and I'm like, that's a really unique sound. That's amazing how they harmonize there. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm doing that right now. And I don't realize I'm doing it because you've been around it so much.
Yeah.
And you have more appreciation for it. And some people just like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah, it's all right. That ain't my bag. Put on put on some Clint Black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you have to have appreciation for it. But yeah, that's something that a lot of people look at it from what I've experienced is they don't realize that also there's people on the show like you who have experience playing, and this is just a whole new outlet for you. You know, and there's some people who've never performed at all, and they're just taking a chance, and that's insane too. It's two different extremes.
Right. That's what's so crazy. When I reached out to Kylie about coming here, I was like, "Hey, you're only a few hours away.
Yeah.
Why don't you come over? We can hang out, get to catch up because we hadn't seen each other since we were in Los Angeles, and I can put you in front of a crowd of people that like music. Like this is the place to do it. It's not too far from your house, and it branches you out." She's like, "Boog, I've never gigged before."
Oh, really?
I'm like, what?
There you go.
She's like, no. She's like, I just sing in my bedroom, and like I audition for The Voice. And
that's insane.
I was like, you're singing on freaking national TV, and you've never? She's like, never. I was just a college kid. Like I was like, well, you got to start sometime, honey. Get in the truck. Just listen. She's like, all right, let's do it. So she's gonna come over, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think folks that don't come to see Ole Whiskey Revival. Come to see good music and have a good time. And man, I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed with Kylie or Caitlin because they're both phenomenal singers. I mean, Kylie can sing Celine Dion. She's got that kind of power. Yeah. Caitlin, same way. She's got this beautiful, buttery, just Southern voice. So, really, really, really excited about having the opportunity to do that with them.
What do you think about like this reincarnation of this '60s country coming back into fruition of like the modern spectrum? Right?
More.
I love it, dude.
More. Bring more.
I bring this person up all the time, but like I love Charlie Crockett, dude.
Yeah.
I love what he's doing.
Just saw him 2 weeks ago.
Did you? Where?
At the Texas Club in Baton Rouge.
Hell yeah. Yeah, he was down there. I saw him last time I saw him was here in town, and then before that was in Tyler. But he's come back to Tyler this month. Yeah, this month. Shit, I think it might be this weekend. I don't know.
It is. It was Stanley's? It was last weekend. He was he was at a festival in Tyler last weekend. That's what it was.
Weekend. Yeah, because I wanted to go to that, and we had an event.
I'm going to tell you, man, I've seen a lot of live shows, and I've seen a lot of big time, like I've seen Aerosmith. I've seen Steven Tyler.
Yeah, me too.
I've seen I've seen all these big shows. I've seen Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
I've seen the big ones. I have never seen anybody command a crowd like Charlie Crockett.
Yeah.
With what he's doing. It's easy to get out there with Aerosmith behind you, and it's rocking, and everybody's drinking beer, or Garth Brooks,
or Tommy Lee flipping upside down the drum set.
It's easy to have those gimmicks and the lights and the pyrotechnics and the rock music, and do that and command a crowd. Mm-hmm. When you've got an accordion player on stage, you better bring it, son.
Well, it's like a Hank Williams feel mixed with something else, like a modern, like a Hank Williams Sr.
Yeah.
Like it.
Oh yeah.
But I just love. I don't know what it. I grew up listening to that type of music. Like I always loved. Not so much that far back, but like I always grew up listening to with my dad and them. Loretta, Conway.
Oh yeah.
Not
George Jones.
Yeah, we didn't get into the too much of the outlaw country. I started listening to that on my own. But we listened to that old classic stuff that was. I feel like it was the beginning stages of outlaw country because they shook the game up a little bit, talking about divorce, and alcoholics, and, all these things, and
that's what's crazy. I mean, in 2023, you can sit and listen to stuff from the '60s, and it just not even give it a second thought. They're talking about divorce,
right.
Loretta Lynn taking the pill, but that was controversial back then.
Hell yeah, it was. But people don't realize that.
Having hair past your ears was controversial back then.
A woman having a voice was controversial back then.
That's right.
I mean, it was.
That's right. So those folks were pioneers, and Charlie Crockett, man, his music being a cross of like jazz, funk, country. It's so weird. You can't put it in a
I think
box.
that's why I love it so much.
But I'm gonna tell you, dude, he had that bar right here all night long, and he could be playing. He could just turn his hip a little bit, and everybody would just like,
I know.
And I was like, look at that. I kept looking at Stacey. I was like, did you see? And she's like, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I get up there, I'm screaming in the microphone, I've got fucking sweat pouring, and people are like, play something good. And this dude just literally just turned around and looked at his drummer, and like 3 women fainted, another one got pregnant, and that dude just filed for divorce. What is happening right now?
Yeah, dude, he's got the rhinestone cowboy mixed with Elvis kind of vibe. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you, if you like that, and if you've never heard of them already, there is a Swedish band called the Countryside of Harmonica Sam.
Have not heard them, but I will check them out. Yeah,
them and Jacob James.
Yeah,
Jacob James. When you pull Jacob James up on iTunes, it looks like an album cover from the '60s.
Yeah,
it's until you go look and see, oh, this was released in 2019. Mm-hmm. You go, oh shit, this is just a classic country album. Looks, sounds like everything is done to a T. It's like it's in a time portal or time capsule,
same
whatever.
Difference. Time machine.
What I would say for folks listening or watching, go to iTunes. If you're into that kind of music, go to iTunes, type in Countryside of Harmonica Sam or Jacob James or the Reeves Brothers, and then just hit Create Station, and then just go down that rabbit hole.
Go. That's what I do.
Get on a road trip, or go sit on your back porch, light you up one of them left-handers, get you a cold pop, and just go down that
he's
wormhole.
One extreme, and then you have like Sturgill Simpson, who's
yeah,
who's a whole there's just so
whole different bag of tricks.
Yeah, but it's still got an old sound to it.
That's right.
That has more of an outlaw feel, but like a raspy, raspy more in your face.
That was
tone.
another one that we saw him at the Sanger.
I've never seen him live. I'd love to.
Buddy, hold on tight.
I bet
it was unbelievable. I thought the crowd was going to tear the Sanger to the ground before it was over with. And the last song he did, he come out, and I think it was Call to Arms, maybe. He's banging on that guitar right at the end. The band starts winding it down. They do the final drum roll, and when they do that, he takes that Telecaster off, waves to the crowd, and just throws it up in the air and turns and walks off stage. He's off stage before it ever hit the ground, and it hit just and just feedback, and everybody's like, I was like, boys, we got to get out of here. They're fixing a riot in this place. He has incited a riot in the French Quarter right now is what's fixing to happen. He was incredible live. Blackberry Smoke's another one, which that's a little bit of a gear shift. It's not really classic country. It's more in the veins of classic Southern rock.
Yeah, but they have some good stuff too, man.
They're really great in concert.
Gary Clark Jr.
Oh
my God, dude!
Yeah,
one of the best guitar players I've ever heard. Him and Tab Benoit. They're those people that Gary Clark's got his platform now, but Tab Benoit is not like, God, I wish more people would listen to him. He's coming here in a couple of weeks, I think.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Ooh,
yeah, he'll be at Shreve Station. He played here at the Alley a couple months ago.
Really?
He'll be at Shreve Station, I believe, next weekend. I believe it's next weekend.
Man, I got to get on some kind of mailing list. I can't believe I missed it. I haven't seen him yet.
You have to. You have to see him live.
I really want to see Tab Benoit.
I don't listen to a lot of new mainstream stuff, and I don't want to sound like that eclectic ass music connoisseur because it's not.
I only drink craft beer.
Yeah, no, fuck that. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. I'm not only listening to bands no one ever heard of. I'm not that person. But I just have some shit I like. And,
you hipster.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not that guy, but I just don't listen to a lot of the mainstream stuff, and so it doesn't. I don't hear it until it's played somewhere. In the background or something. I'm like, oh, I recognize that song, but I don't know who it is. But those are the few people that are still putting out music that I do listen to.
Yeah. And here's my thing with mainstream country music. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. Yeah. It's entertaining. Yeah. It's well produced. Can we please just stop calling it country music? Can we just call it pop? It's pop music, it's pop. And I love pop music. Yeah. I think it's great. It has its place in the world. But let's stop calling it country because it's not. You can't take NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys or Niall Horan, voice plug, and put a banjo over the top of it and call it country music. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Country music, you need to tell a story. with some depth to it, not tailgates and tan lines and Dixie cups and jacked up trucks and mud. And like, that was a joke. When David Allen Coe and Steve Goodman and Charlie Prine wrote Perfect Country Western song.
Yeah.
It was a joke, people. It was a joke. They weren't being serious. It was a joke. Y'all took it too far. Y'all taken it too. Listen to me, Nashville, if you can hear me. You took it too far. It was a joke, man. Get off it. Let's get back to some real stuff. Let's put more Jason Isbell out there. Let's put more Charlie Crockett, more Sturgill Simpson, more Tyler Childers.
I think they're laying the pavement for themselves. I really do.
I think they are too.
Because
well, you look what Cody Jinks has done.
Yeah.
You know, Cody Jinks is multi-platinum selling artist. Never been on country radio.
Yeah, they're doing it. Like, and I didn't realize this until I saw Charlie the first time live like 2 years ago. And I stumbled upon him listening to his early stuff before he kind of started transitioning back to, which I liked his early stuff too. It's more jazz feel,
that
right?
jazzy stuff.
It's like a mix between jazz, blues, and old country for me.
In the Night is a monster.
In the Night, fucking Silver Dagger.
Silver Dagger.
Man.
That whole album.
Yeah, that whole album was a banger, dude. It was a banger. So that, like, and so when I went and saw him live, I just didn't expect him to have that large of a fan base, especially locally here, because most people that I run into do not talk about that type of music. But I talked about this a long time ago on the show, and I haven't brought it up since. But some people are so self-conscious about sharing what type of music they listen to, and the privacy of just them and the music. And I think people are starting to get more and more open because there's so many different styles now. Like, you can't really put everything in a box anymore. Like, it's not like this is a genre. Because I feel like, in the 60s when they had their things going, or 70s or 80s and 90s, whatever it was, they're like, this has to go here.
Sure.
And so your producers, your label's going to say, well, you have to change this word and cut it this way because we need to stay in this lane.
It's business.
Yeah, but there's so many different lanes now, and you can market yourself now, and you really don't have to pick up a label if you don't want to. And, you can pretty much do what you want. But
Absolutely.
You see a lot of regurgitation of things that come from that we've seen in the past, but maybe it's put out different now because they can,
Yeah, that's right. Just because you could do it, you didn't think about whether you should.
Right.
And no, man, I totally agree with that. You come to an Ole Whiskey show, you're going to see a big, hairy, sweaty man singing Southern rock and outlaw country. But if you see me leaving the gig in my truck and I'm bumping Britney Spears or some Dua Lipa, just mind your business. That's okay. It's what I do in the privacy of my pickup truck is no one else's concern, and it just made me the well listened person that I am. Because a lot of people say it. Well, I listen to anything. No, you don't. No, you don't. You listen to like 5 or 6 things, and that's okay. You don't have to say, "Oh, listen to everything," because nobody listens to everything. You might listen to a lot of different stuff, but there's 1 or 2 things you really like. And I used to be all over the map, man, but now it's that 60s to 80s country, which are so different. You think about the difference between
entirely different.
You think about the difference between the Grand Tour and Ronnie Millsap's There's a Stranger in My House.
Fucking love Ronnie Millsap. You seen him live?
I've never seen him live.
Holy shit. So he opened.
And neither has he.
He snuck one in.
I went there.
You are, Dad.
I went there.
So he opened for George Strait locally. This is probably 15 years ago. I don't know how long. It's been a long time. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, dude. And most people don't even know who that is. So if they're listening or watching now, look him up. Listen. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The dude is phenomenal.
And Ronnie Millsap is blind.
Yeah.
For
there you go. For joke reference. So
Steve Hensley is a dear friend of mine. He was the bass player for Ole Whiskey and for Magnolia May. And then he moved to Montana and betrayed all of us. I'm just kidding. Steve, if you're listening or watching, I just miss you. And I'm bitter about it. We were driving to, I don't even know where we were driving, but we were driving, me and him, late one night, and Ronnie Millsap came on. I was like, boy, it's a shame he didn't ever get to see how big he got. He goes, Ronnie Millsap ain't dead. And I'm like, no, he's not dead. He's blind. He goes, Ronnie Millsap ain't blind. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, hell yeah, he's blind as a bat, boy. No, he ain't. I was like, look it up. He looked it up. He went, oh shit, Ronnie Millsap's blind. I was like, yeah, there's a stranger in my house, somebody I can't see.
Yeah.
He's blind. He's
pretty
like
literal about all
He's
that.
like, damn, I just thought it was just like a metaphor. I was like, no, man, he's blind as a bat. Trent always tells a story about seeing him in I forget where he saw him at, but said he'd come out to the edge of the stage, like he'd get up. He's like, Ronnie Millsap ain't really blind. Somebody's walked around on stage. I saw it. I'm like, no, man, he's like Ray Charles, man. He counts him steps. Like he's done been out there. He's counted.
They have
steps,
the same set every time.
He knows how that stage
when
is set
I saw
up.
him, they walked him out and he walked back. I don't even know. Is he still alive?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he played. He did run the casino circuit. You know.
Okay.
He's one of those that I need to make a better effort to go see.
Isn't
because
that interesting? Like how everyone has their reign, and then sometimes they'll go like the Vegas route and kind of sizzle off there.
Well, they're playing to where their fan base is at.
Right. And it's great because every single show for them is like what it was whenever they popped off.
Yeah.
Because those people are coming
That's right.
with the same excitement, and they're right there, and it's like they never left the spotlight.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you ever been to the Texas Club in Baton Rouge?
No.
You should go.
No, I have not. I've been. Is it downtown?
No, it's
Okay. No,
it's like off of Florida, over kind of where Florida Boulevard and Airline Highway come together.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
kind of over in that part of
I
town.
don't think so.
Dude, they've had anybody who's anybody in country music or rock and roll, for that matter, has played there. You go in and they got all the old concert posters on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I mean, like Chris Stapleton was there in 2015.
Yeah.
Ronnie Millsap's been there a dozen times.
Yeah.
Garth Brooks played there. George Strait played there. Willie Nelson's been in there. Freaking Levon Helms played. And, you know, all these different people. You go and you walk around, it's like, holy shit, man. Willie Nelson was here. You know, so
Yeah.
Ronnie Millsap, I say that to say this. Ronnie Millsap ain't play. His fans aren't going to the Texas Club anymore.
Right.
They're going to spend their retirement money at the casinos, so
yeah.
he plays at the casinos. Kind of the same with, you know, you see some of the other older guys from the 80s and 90s. I mean,
I saw John Connolly a couple years ago. That was great.
Wasn't
awesome.
John Conley just here?
He was, I believe so, but I saw him a few years back.
Okay.
Because they had some rose-colored glasses for sale, and I was like, I'm buying them motherfuckers, and I still got them.
Sold. And I'm getting
All
3
day.
pairs, one for the truck, one for the house, and one for the boat.
All day, man. Like, why would you pass that up?
Oh, my
Like, holy
God.
shit.
Yeah, that whole era of, I forget there's a name for it. It's like cosmopolitan country or something like that.
I didn't know they put a stamp on it.
There's a really great documentary, and you may have seen it, Ken Burns Country Music.
No, I haven't.
You know, Ken Burns, he does all the Vietnam stuff. He's got one on baseball. It's on PBS, so you can download the LPB or PBS app to your smart TV. Cannot recommend it more. It's like a 9-part docuseries, and each episode's like 2.5 hours long.
Is it going through, like, the origins?
Buddy, it starts in like the 1800s.
Okay.
And, you know, back in them days, it was, you know, like Irish folk music coming through Appalachia mixed with race music is what they called it. You know, what, you know, former freed slaves were playing.
Yeah.
You know, making banjos out of gourds, you know, like they did in Africa. And how all these different styles of music, drumming and banjos and mandolins and violins all came together. And it talks a lot about Jimmy Rogers, not the blues guy, the Blue Yodel number 9 guy from Mississippi. Talks about, you know, the early days of country music, and he was like the first big country superstar. And then it gets into the Hank era, and then goes all the way up into it cuts off like right in the Garth Brooks era, like as he kind of turned it into more arena rock. Mm-hmm. That's where the documentary cuts off, you know. But it's everything, and it is super
Everything
deep.
leading up to that.
And when I say everything, it's not a 30,000-foot view. Like, it is a drilled down country bluegrass. This is how this music happened, and this is what led to it, and this is what led to it evolving over time. And it's so well done. You need to dedicate some time to do it, because every episode, like I said, is like 2.5 hours long, and there's 9 of them.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
So good rained out Saturday. You can't get in the grass. The kids don't have a ball game. You know, definitely pile up because it's worth the watch.
Yeah, I'll check that out. That's I've always been impressed with it. if you talk about my playlist, dude, holy shit. I mean, what the music we talked about, but I listen to Southern Soul, bro, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
People are like, what the fuck are you listening to? I was like, I fucking love it, dude.
Yeah.
I do. I listen to shit out of that. And then I still throw in Metallica and stuff in there. And I don't listen to much hip hop anymore. If I do, it's old hip hop.
I was listening to Lamb of God yesterday on the battle bike. Just, you know. So, and then I got in the truck and listened to freaking, I don't know, Queen or something going home. It's like, okay, I'm gonna chill out now. I'm gonna listen to something. This morning, I'm trying to think of what I listened to. The first few things I listened to on the way out. I think I was listening to Dierks Bentley up on the ridge for a little while this morning, and then I shifted. I might even listen to some Ronnie Millsap today, and then I've listened to some podcasts. I'm glad you mentioned him because I haven't listened to him in a while. And I'm in the vehicle moving around a lot, so I listen to way more podcasts than I do music these days, and I don't know why. But you're honing your craft.
I feel like for me, I just feel like it's constantly like doing something. Like I feel like listening to music is almost like cutting completely off.
Sure.
When I'm listening to podcasts, I'm learning something constantly, and I feel like that I just always need to be taking information if I can.
What's your go-to podcast right now? Frequency Interrupted. I listen to myself.
Man, I listen to a wide range of stuff. I don't really listen to like business crap anymore.
Yeah.
I like Gary Vee. He's cool. I listen to a lot of Rogan.
You're not listening to the BNI podcast every week anymore?
Fuck no, dude. Well, see, I'm an education coordinator for my little chapter, so I'll preface some, listen to them a little bit, and then I'll assign them to the group. And ones that I know are worth listening to. Sure. But
I haven't listened to Gary V's.
Gary V's good, man. He's good. He's pretty up to date. Basically, he has a marketing company that's global. Mm-hmm. And he started in a selling wine with his dad. They had like he was the first person to ever sell alcohol online.
Oh,
and he turned it into an internet business.
That.
And then from there, he learned how to market and do internet marketing. And then he started up his own marketing firm.
Okay.
And so, but he's really, really popular in a younger generation. He's real trend. You know, he's on trends all the time. So he's so up to date. So if anyone's wanting to like stay in the know of the digital space, he's one to kind of listen to.
Okay.
I don't listen to him as much anymore. I love listening to Rogan when it's not so much comedians bullshitting, but more an interesting individual that I can take a lot of information from. Have
you gotten into Huberman Labs?
Yes, Andrew Huberman. Yeah. I've listened to that.
That dude's super smart.
Yeah,
or at least he seems to. He's smarter than I am.
Yeah, he's extremely intelligent. But I love like stumbling upon the people you would have never heard of had they not had a chance to be on that platform.
Sure.
And that's what I like doing here. Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the exact same thing. So I don't even listen to them to try to hone my craft. I just listen to them because I legitimately enjoy hearing about people, about things have no fucking clue about.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
And if we can create some relative conversation in between, great. But when I have absolutely no idea. Now, when we go to astrophysics, that's a little too much. That's too much of a reach for me, you know. Yeah. But if we're talking about fucking aliens or something, you know, or these special military operations,
give me something weird. Give me something weird.
Or why coyotes are, now a species that's taken over invasive species. You know, like just weird shit.
Yeah. No,
I'm the king of like useless information.
Absolutely.
I love it.
You never know when somebody's going to invite you to go play trivia at Hooters, and you need to have your game on point.
Queued up.
You know. I do the same thing. I bounce around a lot because it's like I want to listen to something educational, and then in the middle of my 10-hour drive, I'm like,
yeah, I'm not going to like I can't do a specific listen to this for this task driven listen or even a book on Audible. I can't hardly do it, but if I can listen to a conversation, I pull so much more out of that.
Sure.
For me, everyone's different, man.
I tell you what, and you may have heard it already, but there's a great episode of Joe Rogan with Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah.
From
it's been a ways back,
like 6-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And they get into some,
yeah.
Boy, they get off there.
Yeah.
They get to talk about DMT and everything. Yeah. It's like, whoa, man. That was a really good episode.
Theo Von's great. If you listen to him,
that's God,
this past
baby.
Weekend.
That's God.
Yeah. He's always great, man. He's good to see live too.
Pride and joy of South Louisiana.
Yeah, man. Covington, right? Yeah.
Covington. Yeah, that's right. I was in Covington last week. My son's wrestling in Covington last week.
That place is blown up.
I hadn't been there in a long time, and I was like,
it's insane. Well,
damn, this place is really nice.
Let's talk about this because we breezed past it and I want to bring it up. And I've already brought it up to multiple people. What the fuck is in the water in Desoto Parish? Where are all y'all? Like, you all come from there.
We're
like all these talented individuals that can play music and sing or like seem to just come from that pool. Like, and what is it?
I don't know, man. I like to attribute it to we're close enough to what I consider the cradle of country music in Shreveport. You know, Nashville is just where it landed, but man, a lot of it happened here. You know, the Hayride was the Hayride was the first, and it was the biggest before the Opry ever got going. The Opry was to try to sell insurance, you know, and then it turned into what it is today. I don't know, man. I guess it's just something in the water. There ain't a whole lot to do down there.
It's got to be. It's not a coincidence that this many people, like the multiple people I've talked to, multiple people I know, and like you guys, like what's going on down there?
Yeah, you got Lucas Jagnos from there, Cody Cook and I went to middle school together.
Yeah. Josh Johnson,
Tilden Gillum.
Yeah.
Kyle Roop is probably one of the, I don't know, top 20 best guitar players in the country, maybe the world. I don't know. I mean, he's better than most people I've ever heard. You know, he grew up down there, still lives there. Trying to think who got Tilden Gillum, which he's from Oklahoma, but we'll claim him because he spent some time in Desoto Parish. I don't know, man. It's just there just ain't a whole lot to do down there.
Yeah.
You know, when I grew up,
that's what everyone says. We have nothing else to do, man.
Yeah, dude.
Like, no, but still, like, there's so many people that are from remote areas with absolutely nothing to do.
And you know,
they can't fucking sing. So that's not it. You know,
Mansfield was a totally different place.
Oh, 20 years ago, yeah.
You know, 30 years ago when I was a kid, it was a totally different place.
Yeah.
You know, there just wasn't any. There were things to do, but it was, you know, you went to watch Wolverines play on Friday night, and you had the Dixie Youth Park out by the airport, and we had the Blueberry Festival. The Blueberry Festival was that was a big event. You know, it was the biggest event in DeSoto Parish every year. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people from DeSoto Parish that play and sing, and there's a lot of them that you've never heard of that are down there that, you know, my dad always talks about the Galancy family and how talented they were. My dad would be a great person to talk to about this because he knows everybody that's ever lived in Mansfield, I think, since the dawn of time. My family got to Mansfield in the 20s. My great-grandfather was born here in Shreveport, and he was recruited by neighbors to come build trailers for him down there. So neighbors' trailers built these big, heavy-duty, tractor trailers. So he moved from. My grandfather was born in 1918. Lived in a house on Wall Street, over like where Strange Brew is.
Yeah.
You know, you see all those old, dilapidated houses. At one point in time, that was a big residential area. You know, my grandfather was born there, lived there until he was, 6, 7 years old. And they moved to Mansfield in the mid-20s. My grandmother came from East Texas. Her daddy was a machinist, and he built forms for dragline buckets.
Okay.
And he worked at the foundry there in Mansfield. That's how my family came to be. But before then, New Mansfield's got such a rich history. I encourage anybody that's never been, go to the Battle Park.
Yeah. Go
to the Battle Park, read about the Battle of Mansfield. You know, everybody gets up in arms about the Confederate monument. Politics aside, it's still history. There's a reason that monument was erected. You know, at the time, whatever. Shreveport was the capital of the state. The people that lived here were defending their state capital, and that's how the Battle of Mansfield came to happen.
Yeah.
And it was actually one of the largest battles, I think, fought inside the Confederate states. And it was kind of pointless because I think at that point in time the war was basically over.
The information just hadn't gotten here to them. About,
Yeah, they didn't have their Twitter account set up right, so they didn't see the notifications. But yeah, dude, that battle park is very well preserved, very well curated. President Taylor, Zachary Taylor. No, Zachary Taylor was Zachary Taylor. No, Zachary Taylor was the general.
Dude,
Andrew Taylor, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
As much as I love history, I'm terrible with names.
I learned that shit for 1 year, and I don't remember it anymore.
There was a U.S. president named Taylor.
Yeah.
And
I want to say it's Andrew. It sounds right.
And his son was a Confederate general. And President Taylor's Bible is in that museum in Mansfield.
Okay.
And there's all kind of cool stuff like that you can go see and read about. The guys that run that museum down there are really knowledgeable. I had family on both sides, my grandmother and my grandfather's side. I had family on both sides that fought in the Battle of Mansfield. So it's a place that's rich in history that people are really proud of. I don't know, man. There's something about DeSoto Parish. It's just, and there's a lot of folks now. It's been diluted with folks, from Shreveport, moving out that way, and that's okay because everybody's welcome. But it's a different place than it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I graduated from North DeSoto High School 20 years ago, and 20 years ago I was one of 88 people. I think you might know Aaliyah Procell.
Yeah.
She and I graduated together. We were in the same graduating class. We were 2 of 88 that graduated from North DeSoto High School.
That's about what my graduation class was right under 100, I believe. Yeah.
We graduated on the football field.
Hell yeah.
We had homecoming in the cafeteria. They taking them suckers to the CenturyLink Center now to graduate. There's so many of them. So
got some tomorrow.
It's a big time place. When I was a kid, Mansfield was a big 3A school. Now I just saw they won the 2A track championship.
Oh, so it's kind of going the other way.
Yeah, Mansfield's kind of constricting, but Logansport's growing. Stonewall is just
huge
because it's the closest, and it's just because it's the closest one to Shreveport.
Yeah.
Vita Blue, A's pitcher, won 2 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Just passed away this week. He's from Mansfield. His sister is the chief of police in Mansfield, Ms. Annette. One of the sweetest ladies you ever meet in your life. Who else?
I didn't know I was going to get it. Some Mansfield history.
RuPaul's family is from Mansfield.
No shit.
RuPaul is from Mansfield.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Who else famous? Let's see. You had, obviously Dennis Bell. He was on The Voice. He's from Mansfield. I know I'm the Hill brothers. All the Hill brothers that played at LSU.
Yeah.
I think a couple of them might even have gone pro. Floyd Turner played for the New Orleans Saints. His daughter and I grew up together in Mansfield. So, it's a happening place, man. Check it out. Check it out. Y'all come visit DeSoto Parish sometime. I don't even live there anymore. I'll probably live there again eventually. Once my kids are grown and gone, I come back to the family place there. My parents still live there in DeSoto Parish, but still got a lot of family in and around DeSoto Parish. So, I don't know, man. I can't answer that question. It's something. It's just something. It just is what it is. There's a lot of.
It's got to be just the culture, man. It just has to be.
I think it's a perfect combination of good, clean water and nothing to do.
Yeah.
So you learn. There's a lot of churches in Mansfield too. So that's how I got started. Singing and playing.
That
in church.
always seems to be the case. Well, I say always. That seems to be a case a lot is when people get in the start there. That's where my grandmother sang too, and all that. But yeah. That's a lot of these artists. Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you somebody else. Here's another cool story. George Jones's wife is from Mansfield.
The late wife. The most recent wife.
The one that's still living. Yeah. She is from Mansfield.
Wife,
Damn, I should tell you somebody else too. Golly, I hate it when that happens. But yeah, George Jones used to come to town all the time. There's a real funny story. I can tell you real quick. One of the guys in Dad's band, Mikey Smith. George's bus was in town visiting. His wife was visiting his mother-in-law, and he was on a little sachet down through Louisiana. They were going to Lafayette or Lake Charles or something. And so Mikey finds out he's in the hotel out there by Mansfield High School on 84. Mikey finds out what room he's in. So Mr. Mikey, as the story's been told.
How old was he then? Was he a teenager?
No, he was a grown man.
Okay.
This would have been in the 80s.
Okay, so later.
In the early 80s. So Mr. Mikey finds out what room he's in. He goes in there and the door's cracked open. He slings the door open. George Jones is sitting there eating saltines and drinking a beer or whatever in his white T-shirt. Looks up, and Mikey's like, George Jones? I'm Mikey Smith. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Said Jones just fell out laughing. He's like, man, sit down, Mikey Smith, have a beer with me. So they sit down, they get to cutting up, drinking. And at the time, Sammy Kershaw is the band leader for George Jones.
Okay.
So if that dates it.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, we're finna make us a little run down to Lake Charles and Lafayette. Why don't you come with us? All right. So Mikey gets on the bus with him, and they take off down the road. He's riding the bus with George Jones. And they pull off there on the side of the road, this little bar. Tour manager and Mikey walk in. Tour manager says, excuse me, sir, I'm such and such, George Jones' tour manager, and George Jones would like to rent your bar for the afternoon. Fuck out of here, you know.
Yeah.
About that time, there's a couple guys sitting at the bar. About that time, dude walks in. He goes, hey, did y'all know George Jones' bus is in the parking lot? Said that bartender looked at them two guys, get out. Y'all get out right now. So he gets out, he closes the bar down. So George and the band, they all come in. They sit down there and they just start drinking. They drink all afternoon. Tour manager comes in, George, time to go. We got to make it to the show, you know. They get back on the bus. George's hammered drunk. They take off down the highway. They get to the show, and George is sitting there slumped over in a chair. He's like, George, what? Or George looks at Mr. Mikey. He's like, Mr. Mikey, why don't you go on out there and get them warmed up for me? So Mikey walks out on stage with George Jones's band, Sammy Kershaw and everything. He's playing and singing. They're getting the crowd going. Said he looked over. Old George was slumped over in that chair, and somebody walks by with something and kind of runs it down there around. I said, George pops up. He comes out on stage, and he just kicks ass. You know, he's just getting after it. Hour and 15 minutes, whatever. Said old George started slurring and staggering. Tour manager comes out and says, folks, George had a wonderful time. Y'all be careful going home. That was it. And he said they went and got back on the bus. Said they did that 3 days in a row.
Holy shit.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane what those people put their bodies through.
It's
like playing every. I mean, it's still today. I mean, what you guys do, but playing if you're on tour, like playing every single night, like man,
a lot of vocal rest. Well, I mean, Morgan Wallen just announced that he's got to go on vocal rest now for, like 6-8 weeks.
He's the one that everyone keeps getting pissed off at for canceling these shows and stuff.
Yeah, so I think he had like a 2-show thing booked at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Played the first night and blew his voice out. Yeah, and then canceled like.
What they attribute that to? What, like if you're partying too much and trying to sing and
your vocal cords. A lot of folks, and this is something I can't claim to be an expert on, and that I even have known about this, but I know that after we play 3 or 4 nights in a row, my throat hurts. Yeah. And I never understood why until I went to California and started getting vocal training, getting ready for The Voice. It's a muscle, man. So all these muscles in your neck, that's what helps manipulate your mouth and your throat and your vocal cords to produce different pitches. And you can damage it, just like you could be doing a bench press and, tear a pectoral muscle or, tear your labrum or something like that. You can tear and damage your vocal cords and your vocal folds just like you can damage any other muscle in your body. So when you abuse it, you're smoking cigarettes, and alcohol is one of the worst things for it because it dehydrates you. When you abuse it and you don't take care of it, there's consequences to it. And folks are upset about it because there should have been somebody along the way, and there probably was, but he just ignored it, thinking he's invincible and bulletproof, telling him, you need to take it easy, you need to take it easy, take it easy, and take care of your voice, And he just didn't, because he's used to being a weekend warrior. Right. It'd be like taking Ole Whiskey and trying to throw us into that right now. We wouldn't make it 2 weeks because everything I got would be blowed out. Yeah. And
it's not conditioned for it.
You're just not conditioned for it, So
and you can't do the same things you were doing when you're just playing the weekends as you do when you're playing every single night.
And when you learn that that's how that works, it makes what folks like Garth Brooks do even that more impressive to be able to play, 2 2-hour shows a night, or a 2-hour show tonight and a 2-hour show tomorrow night. For him to be able to do that, That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's like some superhuman shit happening there, you know. So
Well, a lot of people don't respect that because they just show up and they're used to hearing it on the radio.
that's right.
They want to hear it the same damn way they hear it on
That's
the radio.
exactly right.
They just want
Sing, monkey, sing for me.
Yep.
Dance.
Yep.
And they don't understand there's a whole lot that goes into it. So, but I mean, Luke Combs, kind of same thing. He had a deal where he blew his vocal cords out. Now, some would argue that he handled it a lot better than Wallen did. You know, he come out, performed anyway the best he could, and refunded everybody's money that night.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you're getting a refund for this ticket. I need y'all to sing with me. I'm gonna do the best I can, but it ain't gonna be a show worth paying for. So I'm giving you your money back. But y'all are here. You came to see me. We're not rescheduling. We're gonna do this right now. So
Yeah.
that's one that's I want to go see. That's
Yeah, I'd like to
doing
see
the
him.
right things.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
Writes his music. You know, super talented singer. And from everything I've read and seen online, he seems like a genuinely good dude, you know, all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's a workout. I will be hoarse come Sunday morning after playing tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday night.
Yeah, I bet.
Big difference in getting on stage and playing 4 or 5 hours, and just you think about, you go to a concert, you go see the main act. If you see somebody play for an hour and a half, you've seen something.
Yeah.
You know, when the Eagles come out and play for 2 hours, 2 hours 15 minutes, or Aerosmith plays for 2 hours, that's something. Like that ain't how it works. Normally you get 45 minutes to an hour. That's what a pro set is like, because those guys are fixing to do that again 4 more times in the next 5 days. Mm-hmm. So they're not fixing to get out there and sing for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And that's what a lot of folks around here will get upset. They call you and they want you to play for 5 hours for, you know, $300 in a bar tab. Well, there's 5 of us in the band. You want us to play for 5 hours? That's a lot, man. You know, we're not digging ditches here. We're exerting ourselves. You don't go watch a football game for 5 hours.
Yeah.
You don't watch a baseball game for 5 hours. 5 hours, $300 in a bar tab,
and all the while drinking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And so here lately, I've been on a little bit of a weight loss journey myself since
I was going
January.
to say something, but I want to bring it up. But you look like you slimmed up a little bit.
Yeah, I've lost about 50 pounds.
Okay, congratulations.
So, thank you, I appreciate it.
What are you doing?
My wife she became a health coach.
Okay.
So she's lost 70 plus pounds. She's coaching this program. It's like a dietary program. And she's doing so good with it. And I was a big old fat piece of shit and tired of feeling like hell all the time. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try some of that. And so I got on it with her back in January after she had already lost 50 pounds. And she's been doing that. And the big thing is cutting out the drinking.
Man, it makes such a big difference. You cut that out and watch, like, you know, just like consuming the things that have all the bullshit in them and actually looking at the label. People make it out to be like it's so fucking hard, but it really isn't.
It's
man.
not.
We have access to all the information to do everything right. It's
That's
like
right.
you refuse to fucking do the right thing, and then you bitch and moan because you don't feel good.
That's right.
Or because you're having to take medication, you know, and all these things.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy this morning about it. He's like, man, I built me a home gym. Some of it just don't work. I walk by it every day. And it ain't done nothing for me yet, you know. So it's
some
like,
people need a swift kick in the ass, and some people it'll never happen for. Like, we work so hard to make our life so easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes that, you know, that work ethic goes out the window when that happens, or when you finally get home, you don't want to exert the energy. So
Right.
I tell a lot of people, like, we have a home gym, but we still go to use, you know, the CrossFit gym, but if for some reason I have to miss the CrossFit gym, I know I have that to fall back on. That's not my primary gym. That's just my backup in case something fucks up or COVID hit. You know, that's
Sure.
all I had, you know.
Sure. Well, and, you know, one of the biggest things was I travel a lot. And so whether it be for work or doing music stuff coming up here, I was packing my toiletry bag up one day, and I couldn't get everything in my toiletry bag. And I'm like, what in the fuck? What is going on here, you know? So then I start emptying it out, and I realize I've got this pill, and I've got that pill, and I got this pill, and then I got this stuff that I got to spray in my nose, and then I've got this pill for my restless legs, and it's like, what am I doing? And then I'm packing my CPAP machine up, and it's like, dude, I'm 36 years old or 37 years old. I'm on all this medication. Like, this can't be good, you know? Well, do something about it. So started doing something about it. I don't take any pills anymore. I don't sleep with a CPAP machine anymore.
It's literally that. It's that simple. Like, what Like
taking all these pills to try to fix this when all I had to do was just stop eating damn ice cream and drinking a 6-pack of beer every night.
Are you doing? Were you working out every day or a couple days a week?
I ruptured a disc in my back at the end of January.
Okay.
And the program that we're on recommends that if you are not already performing physical activity on a regular basis, that you do not add anything to your daily regimen. You get your diet under control first, and then once you get into where you're going into maintenance, then we want to start adding some physical activity, and we can. So about 2 weeks ago, I signed up for this place called Hot Works. So it's basically infrared saunas. Yoga, Pilates, core, ISO, bar none, which is like ballet without the bar. So it's all mobility stuff. Yeah. And that coupled with the heat, I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be really good for my back. Little did I know when I get in there, yoga is hard.
Fuck yeah, it's hard.
There is nothing girly about yoga.
No.
It is hard.
It's just stretching. That's what it is.
It is physically challenging.
Yeah, it's hard.
And then you do it inside of a 130-degree infrared sauna, and it takes it to another. It's hot yoga. Well, then on the other side of the studio, because I'm a very impatient person, and I got a lot going on. So for me to go sit in one spot for 30, 45 minutes just to exercise, I'm looking for a reason to get out of that. On the other side of the studio, they've got shorter classes. One studio's got a row machine in it. One's got the
salt bike or echo bike.
Yeah, whatever you want to call that. And then 2 of them have like regular old spin bikes. Well, the seat on the spin bike is about as wide as that microphone. And I was like, well, I'm not sitting on that. The row machine, I can do it, but it's not.
That's still bad on the back.
It's not super comfortable right now because my core is still so weak from having the blowout. But this guy here, it's got a big old banana seat on it. And I'm like, man, I can sit on that for 10, 15 minutes. So, man, I get in there, and it's just the same. There's a TV on the wall. The girl's talking to you through the sauna, and there's 3 bikes sitting in there, and it's on a loop, a 15-minute loop, 24 hours a day. So there's no excuse. Get up and go. Go whenever you can. They got a shower in there. If you're out working, you can swing by there. And so basically, last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been going in there. Got my damn Apple Watch rigged up. Made it a little competition between me and Stacy. So she started running 5Ks. She runs a 5K just about every day, which is, it blows my mind. I told her that. I was like, who are we? What is this?
Isn't it funny how that happens? Like you were bar hopping probably 2-3 years ago or whatever.
Oh, dude, I'd come up here for a weekend and it wouldn't be nothing to drink 2 or 3 cases of beer over the course of 3 or 4 days. Yeah. And drink a 5th of whiskey on stage, and then you get home on Sunday. You try to get up and go home, and you can't get up, and you end up getting home at dark Sunday night, and you feel like hell, and then you got to go to work on Monday. And now it's like you pop up out of bed after a show, and it's like, I feel good. Yeah. I had a beer all night long, you know. Yeah. So it's a whole different ball game. But I had a goal, DJ. I wanted to be able to wear a nice belt buckle. So I got me a belt and a belt buckle that I can wear now. So it's just one more thing for me to put in my closet and accessorize with. I got like 5 different belt buckles now. I can change them out as my mood changes.
What are you doing nutrition wise? What do y'all like? How are you eating?
So, it's a supplement deal. Okay. So you do the program I'm on. I eat 5 of these supplements a day. Okay, and they're balanced. You know, the macros in them are balanced right. So you eat. Is this like a higher protein, lower carb, higher fat? What's the ratio? It varies for you. Or what you're on. It varies from fueling to fueling, right. But it basically ends up being like a light form of keto. Yeah. So each one of the fuelings has vitamins and stuff in it, so you don't have to take any extra supplements. You just eat these fuelings, and then you prepare yourself one meal a day that's lean and green. Gotcha. So a lot of grilled. I've heard about this program before, and I can't remember the name. What's the name? Optavia. Okay, yeah. It used to be MetaFast. Yeah. It's been around for years. Yeah, I've heard people have great success from it. Yeah, it's all doctor developed, and if you do it correctly, and you have a good coach, which Stacy is my coach, if you have a good coach that can explain it and break it down and kind of help you change your mindset, it works. Well, stuff like that.
what my advice to everyone that ever asks me things is like you have to become knowledgeable about what you're putting in your body.
Correct.
Like doing something like that keeps you conscientious of what you're taking in macro wise, right?
Right.
And so when you finally get like that's a temporary solution to create a lifelong,
Correct.
Lifestyle.
That's exactly right.
So once you get through that, then moving forward what you're putting in your body, what you're going to get back from it.
That's right. That's right. And for anybody listening still at this point to me talk, let me just go and give you a cheat code. Everything has sugar in it.
Oh yeah, everything.
Look at the labels.
Yeah.
Stay around the perimeter of the grocery store.
Yeah.
Leafy green. Leafy green. I had a guy tell me, Nate Edwards.
Oh, that's my boy.
My boy Nate. He gave me the best piece of advice from a nutrition standpoint anybody's ever given me. If it had parents or it grew out of the ground, get after it.
Yep.
Colorful, green, leafy, and if it had parents, go nuts. Stay out of the middle of the grocery store.
Yeah.
Make your own spaghetti sauce. Make your own hamburger helper. Make your own pasta.
Yeah.
Like, don't eat that stuff in the center of the store because that stuff is made to sit on a shelf. It's got so many preservatives and stuff in it. That's why everybody's got cancer.
Well, that's why all these boomers are having all these health issues, and they're just now coming about because this stuff was really, really, introduced pretty heavy in like
Sure.
what the 70s, 80s,
well, I would
60s.
I would go back to the 50s,
Yeah,
were the
even-
golden age, post-war.
Yeah, I guess when you had like TV dinners come out,
Microwave
even
dinners.
that far back, yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
I mean, it comes really prevalent when you like the cereals and the just cutting things down.
Big Pharma and Big Ag got together.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, how can we make them fatter and sicker? And
Yeah,
let me
make money off of them.
Take my tinfoil hat off.
Oh no, dude, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Like it's very like it's people look at it, the same, and then it's hard to think about too because you're like, well, our ancestors used to eat that way, but they only lived to 50. Yeah, because they lived a way more harsh lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they ate that way because that's the only way they could eat.
That's right.
When it was healthy, we said it was healthy. It was farm raised food and farm raised produce.
That's right.
But at the same time, they didn't have all these medications to combat certain things, because I'm not saying
Sure.
medicine's bad. Like there's certain things that and they didn't have the knowledge where I should, only eat this type of animal versus this type of plant,
Right.
And not this animal in surplus, more this one, and
Well, hell, I mean, back in them days, just having a child could be a death sentence.
right.
So that nutritional information with modern medicine,
Yeah.
dude, you could have somebody live to be 100, 150 years old and
Oh,
still
yeah.
be healthy.
Oh yeah.
But you gotta stay out of the middle. I tell everybody, just stay out of the middle of the grocery store, stay away from the sweets. Get you a good drink, but don't do it every night. Don't do it every weekend. Just moderation is key with anything.
Yeah, I agree. I like to I'll have one bad meal a couple times a month maybe. And when I say bad, it's most people's daily. For
Yeah.
me, it's bad, like a big ass.
I got to thinking about it. It's like, all right, we'll see. I had a venti full fat caramel macchiato and a chocolate croissant for breakfast, and then mid morning
That's 1,000 calories right there.
Yeah.
That's probably 80 grams of carbs.
That's what I'm taking in a day now,
Yeah.
Calorie wise. And then mid morning I'd have me a Monster Energy drink. I have not had any water yet. Now I'll go to lunch. I'm gonna sit down and have me a damn half and half tea, and a big old plate of jambalaya or fried fish or something like that. And then mid afternoon I feel like shit. So man, I better get me another energy drink or another coffee. So I might stop by Starbucks and get me another venti full fat caramel macchiato. And then for dinner I'm gonna have. I still haven't had any water yet. for dinner, let's go eat Mexican food. So I'm gonna have a big old plate of enchiladas and 7 baskets of chips and queso and a margarita and 4 beers. And I've just taken in 9,000 calories today.
Easily.
I have not drank a drop of water, and I've done nothing but sit in my truck or at a computer. No shit, you weigh 287 pounds. Are you shocked?
That's easily you're inflamed and you're dehydrated.
That's
and
it.
That leads to fucking health issues. I mean,
What's wrong with me, Doc? I feel bad.
Yeah.
Well, you eat like shit and you don't move.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got it figured out.
Hell yeah, man!
feel like
feel
you got
good.
it all going your way.
I feel good, and I'll talk about that all day long, man. Because
I can't.
My
too.
life has changed.
Well,
it's such a cliche to say it, but I'm telling you, my life has changed. I'm sleeping better. I feel better. I'm working out. There's other things that are going a lot better.
Yeah.
I look better in a bathing suit. I can wear my fancy belt buckles. It's just, there's so much more confidence. I can go sing and play a gig without sweating a barrel of sweat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still gonna sweat. I'm a sweater, but not like it was. You know, so just the whole thing, top to bottom, has been life changing.
Yeah, I mean, people probably people get tired of me talking about it, but like listen to someone talk about who's went through a recent transformation is huge, because people people are sitting there like, I don't think I can do it. Anybody can fucking do it, man. You watch those shows where those people weigh 1,000 pounds and they lose 500. Like, you can do it. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if
That's right.
Your knees hurt or what. Everyone has an excuse, man. It's like, oh, diabetes runs in my family. No, motherfucker, eating honey buns runs in your family. You need to quit doing it. You know what I mean? Or I can't move. My mobility, my knees are shot. Your knees are probably shot because you weigh too fucking much.
Yeah,
you know? So
absolutely.
start just doing some type of movement.
We're all going to check out one day.
Yeah.
And how do you want to go? Do you want to go on your terms, or do you want to go a long, slow, miserable, wasting away death? And that's where I was headed, and I didn't want to be that way. I want to check out when it's time to check out.
I just want it to be a surprise. I
That's it.
don't want to know it's coming. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
I don't be like, well, got diagnosed with this, so doc tells me I may make it 6 months to get my life right. I might make it a year. No, I'd rather just wipe me out.
That's right.
You know, when I don't see it coming.
That's right. Well, man, I've had a good time.
Yeah,
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Let's wrap this thing up.
Absolutely. We'll do it again one day.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate it.